It is the day before autumn leaves come, but I'm coming around Okutama-lake with my kid, which is in Tokyo. Tokyo has mountainous places and islands. I am interested in going on a one-day trip within Tokyo these days, because I have to take my little kid. Only an area of Tokyo can have a lot of high spots except the megalopolis area. Anyway, I will talk about not concerned scenes in this footage, as is one of the characters in my clips. My kid doesn't fail to ask for shooting by herself when she sees that I'm holding my camcorder. You are supposed to think that my kid shot as you see shaking scenes in my clips as now. We are about to go on a footpass 15 kilometers long, of which name is Okutama-lake Pastime Footpass, of course, which is named in Japanese, but I translated not for you foreigners but for David as synthesis voice, because David can't pronounce it correctly in Japanese. Now I have to explain again about why I use the synthesis voice as David, because when I talked by myself, there were a few people who thought of me as a drunk from the way I talked with a Japanese accent. Though I lost sensitivity in teens, actually even if I hear people laugh at my way of pronouncing English, I never mind, but I don't want people not to understand what I say in my poor English. There is something I am forced to think about while making videos for my YouTube channel. It is that Japan seems to be a not interesting topic in the world. Because my clips about Laos won over Japan. Of course that is only in my YouTube channel, so it may be a problem how I make videos, but that can be a suggestion of something at least. As I have often remarked, my clips about Japan have not been watched more. However, there is the reality that I am living in Japan and I don't have anything to do in foreign country these days for several reasons. I must accept this situation. I will make videos about Japan in succession, though I want to go to the Philippines as fast as I can. How to get here is that you are supposed to go Ohm by a train of the JR line at first and transfer to the train for Okutama at the station of Ohm, if you go by train. You should notice the timetable between Ohm and Okutama because there are less trains, if you don't want to wait for long. There is the express train from the Tokyo station to Ohm. If you get on the train for Hakaiji and so on, you should transfer at Tachikawa to the Ohm line. Such an express train, as I said here, is not different from the express train which needs extra charge for the express. One of the ways to discern them is that you see the shape of the first car. If it has a round shape, it would be the train you have to pay the extra charge for, or you see the disposition of seats. If those are placed behind windows, it is the type for nothing. This snake is a viper called Yamekagashi, which has not been known as a viper, thinking that it doesn't have any poison for the narrow shape of the head. But there was an incident that a middle high school student was killed by the snake and they knew the snake had poison. Moreover, the poison is stronger than Habu or Mamushi, which are famous vipers in Japan. Yamekagashi has venom fang at the back margin. Then people didn't know the snake had poison for long, adding to the non-assaultive character. I couldn't video, but there was a little bigger Yamekagashi crawling away later on. There is not a notice about Yamekagashi, but there are a lot of notices here and there. You should watch out for bears, haha. Which seems to mean Yamekagashi is safer than the bears. I wouldn't have come here with my little kid, if I had known about the existence of the bears here in advance. There is a folk belief about meeting the bear that you should assume dead before the presence of the bear to avoid being attacked, but there were a lot of Japanese who hadn't come back from the pretense. The bell to avoid the bears is sold, but I can't guarantee its utility. Anyway, I was doing fingerless whistle for practice. When I was a kid, my friend did finger whistling boastfully. I asked how to do it, but he couldn't explain in detail, just indicating the shapes of fingers and tongue, letting me get lost. It has been a long time since then. When I watched a video about how to whistle with fingers, I gotta do it for the first time in about 50 years since then. And I happen to know there is a way not to use fingers to whistle in a clip on YouTube. I thought that if the bear is an animal to feel fear of strange sounds, it would be timely to practice the fingerless whistle, and actually I did. I told my kid that we should return back for the difficult footpath and for the bear, but my kid didn't want to go back. And I say in advance that such a difficult path was only around here. If you think about whether you can take your little kid or not, a problem would be the distance, which is 15 kilometers to the nearest bus stop for the station. The notice says definitely that this footpath itself is 12 kilometers, but adding 2 kilometers and something again you should walk for the bus station through a floating bridge, which was one of our purposes, then we couldn't end at the 12 kilometers point. Talking about the bus for the railway station, it was 5 p.m. when we reached the bus stop. There was not a bus 5 through 6 p.m, then we had to wait for an hour for the next bus, You should check the timetable in advance and plan it. You should know that there could be only a bus in the morning and a bus in the afternoon. It is the common schedule of the bus in the backcountry of Japan. I talked about the floating bridge and the bus for the railway station, that is, I said about the ending scene of this hike, losing what I could say about this hike. Then, I seemed to talk about another concept but this hike. I said that I am fighting with my Laotian wife to divorce in court, so I can't go to Laos again with ease after I divorce, but I am a person oriented to foreign country wanting to go to Thailand or the Philippines these days if allowed the opportunity. Then, there is a problem: which country is the best for me? I have gathered information about the Philippines these days mainly with videos on YouTube on which Japanese living there broadcasted. Those Japanese of course love the Philippines. If they didn't, they wouldn't have lived there, but all of them are complaining much about the Philippines. Those complaints are the same as people living in Thailand 20 through 30 years ago said. Thailand is the country to live with ease except the difficulties by the actual military government. Its infrastructures are good, almost the same as those of advanced countries, and the administrative procedures for foreigners are flowing back and forth not to be forced to pay extra charge in non-name by the greedy government men. The greedy taxi or tuk-tuk drivers have decreased in Thailand, and of course Thai people saying noisily money money to foreigners in the tourist spots have also decreased. The Philippines looks to be the opposite of the situation in the present Thailand, that is the same as 20 through 30 years ago Thailand, as they say. If so, I must hesitate to go there and be forced to think why I must be annoyed with the same situation as Thailand 30 years ago, and it would be better to go to the present Thailand. However, I have an odd mind wanting to go to Thailand 30 years ago again. Excuse me, but I think of Filipinos as stupid people because they let sea polluted, discharging untreated human sewage into the sea. Even if I admitted the government men not to do their duties or to be greedy, I couldn't be patient for it. Anyway, they say that there is better nature left in Palawan Island of the Philippines, so, if I had an occasion to go to the Philippines, I would go there first for the beautiful sea. I went to the sea for leisure with my kid this summer once, and winter is coming, letting us off the sea in Japan. I'm very sorry much more for my character to love the sea. By the way, the sea in Japan has little sharks, but jellyfishes which can stick to humans letting the place sore and swell up. Contrary to that, the mountains in Japan have the bears which can attack hikers. The probability of death with the jellyfishes to the bears is nothing to some, then leisure in the sea would be better, isn't it? Now we are walking near the ending spot of this hike, over 12 kilometers of walk. My kid is complaining about what I said, that it was 12 kilometers to the goal. As it is, it was 15 kilometers to the floating bridge. Then I had to hold her anger to promise getting her an iPad before Christmas, though I promised to do as the Christmas present. Then I have to prepare other Christmas present again. Actually, I bought the iPad for her after this event. I had to get one of 128 GB because 64 GB one was sold out for the reasonable price. If we had wait for the Christmas, we could have got it. As it is, my kid couldn't wait for it. The city in which I live now offers a coupon with which you can buy goods at 30% off in order to boost the domestic market, but the shops which accept the coupon are limited. I got coupons for $550 and I can get goods equivalent to $770 with all the coupons. Of course I planned to get the iPad with the coupon, but it was sold out as I said before, and the 128 GB model was bought through the internet for a certain advantage for me. Then all the coupons are left, ha ha ha. There are none of the shops in which I can use the coupon or want to use it. The expiration of the coupon is at the end of March, 2022. I have to seek a shop which accepts coupons and sells the goods I want until the day. Okutama-lake is artificial for a dam, and there is an hourglass part of the lake on which the floating bridge is laid. We are walking for the bridge, saying in advance, it is not special, but if you reach there, you could be content with the finish of all the footpath over the fear of bears. There is a limestone cave near here. When we went out of the station of Okutama, I saw the long lines to wait for the bus going to the limestone cave, contrary to the least passengers of 4 in the bus on which we got to come here. That stands for more popular of the cave, despite I didn't know about the limestone cave. An MT Kumotori lies near here, which is the highest mountain in Tokyo, about 2,000 meters high, though it lies in 3 prefectures including Tokyo. Maybe you can get to the entrance of the mountain by bus from the station of Okutama. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly. Here we are. The floating bridge. As you can see, it is not special, but we are content with the finish of the all footpath. What we had to do next was just wait for the bus to return to the JR station of Okutama, and we got to see that we had to wait for an hour until sunset. By the way, pre-announcing the next clip, which may be a trip to the Jonanjima Seaside Park in which located near Hainda Airport, I was walking to the park from the JR station of Omori. The distance was estimated only 3 kilometers, but it took an hour and a half, then it was more 5 kilometers. As a strange thing, I was more tired of the walk there than hike in this clip. I think that walking among buildings and on the asphalt makes you more tired not only physically but also mentally. And as you see on the Google map, the park lies very near Hainda Airport, which can make you think that its scenery may be spectacular, as it is, not spectacular for the distance shorter than your expectation from the Google map. As a strange thing again, my kid was content with the Jonanjima Seaside Park contrary to my disappointment. It may be the difference between adult and child, man and woman. Anyway, I am satisfied that my kid can be satisfied. The reason why I often go on trips with my kid is that I am fighting with my wife in court for parental rights before divorce, and I don't know exactly if I can go on trips with my kid as often as I want in future. That is the pathos of the father.